Hi, everyone. My name is Naomi from All Bodies Dance Project. Welcome. We are really thrilled to be invited to talk about our work today through this ConnecTogether event. We're just going to wait for a few folks to join us, and then we will get started with our presentation.
Hi, welcome everybody. Naomi Brand just introduced herself. I'm Janice Lawrence from All Bodies Dance Project. I'm hosting the Friday dance classes at noon. I'm teaching them. ConnecTogether and the Disability Foundation are hosting them. It's really nice to be here. Thank you for checking us out.
Great. Okay, thanks, Janice, for introducing yourself. So I will mostly be leading our little presentation, talking about what All Bodies Dance Project is and the kind of work we do. And then I'll be back and forthing with my colleague, Janice. So before we start, I want to just first acknowledge that I am speaking to you, and most of All Bodies Dance Project's work takes place on the unceded, ancestral, and occupied territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. Our work seeks to connect people in relationship with each other. And in those relationships, we honor the first peoples who have been here and caring for this land long before any of us arrived, and whose dances have been on this land long before any of the dances that we've made. And so we pursue our work in solidarity and in allyship with Indigenous peoples. I welcome you from whatever land or territory that you are on today, and thank you for joining us. So All Bodies Dance Project is an inclusive dance company. We began in 2014, and the company was founded by myself, along with my colleague Sarah Lapp-Born and me, Ray Rossner. And the three of us joined forces because despite Vancouver being a fairly physically accessible city, there was no consistent sort of place for integrated, physically integrated contemporary dance in this city. And so there have been many projects and things that have happened in the past, but we were looking for a place where people with and without disabilities could come and dance together. And so in the way that many different art projects happen, we wrote a grant, and here we are 7.5 years later. Our community is as diverse as you could imagine. Folks who participate in our work come from a very, very wide range of backgrounds, of ages, of abilities, of identities, of genders, and of sizes. And we embrace those differences, and we make dances that celebrate those differences. And so our work is about bringing together people who have different experiences of moving in the world, and the ways that we all perceive allow us to experience dancing in new and different ways than we wouldn't imagine if we were in a room by ourselves. And so that bridging across folks with and without lived experience of disability is really the source of our creative exploration. And we make work that is authored by artists with and without disabilities, folks who are professional dancers, folks who are very, very new to dance. And that spectrum is really the most beautiful thing, I think, about our work. So, of course, you know, I could speak and describe our work, but it is probably best if I just show you some of what we do. And so I will share a short little video of that sort of gives an overview of some of what All Bodies Dance Project does. areas. So if you bear with me for a moment, I will just screen share this short video.
Sorry to interject, but the sound isn't coming through. Have you shared your sound on the share screen page?
Okay, we'll try that again. Thanks for your patience. Is that better? Great. Awesome. So that film, that short little clip was created by Martin Borden of Union Street Films. And the images that you see in there, many of them are from our classes and some of our public performances. So all of our programming is offered for free. We are very conscious of wanting to reduce barriers to participation so that our work is as physically accessible. We work only in buildings that are, of course, are wheelchair accessible, including washrooms with scent reduced policies. And of course, financially accessible. We are very conscious of wanting to work in spaces where people can access it through public transportation. And we also make efforts to have our work be accessible to people who are ASL speakers, deaf or hard of hearing. And so we offer interpretation for our programming when requested. We also work with many people who are non-binary, and so it's important to us that we always work in spaces where gender-neutral washrooms are available as well. And so our classes run through Vancouver Park Board facilities. We work in community centers because those spaces align with our values and also meet our requirements for accessibility. So some of the images that you saw in that last video are from Trout Lake Community Center in East Vancouver and from the Roundhouse, which is located in Yaletown. And we have been working in both of those spaces for the past 7 years in partnership with the Vancouver Park Board and those community associations. We also do many performances in the community. And of course, this year throughout COVID, we have learned about sharing our work online in different ways. We've also done online performances. And as you may have noticed in that video, also we are interested in sharing work outside. Not everybody feels comfortable going to the theater. And we believe that art and dance is for everywhere and for everyone. And so there is something quite magical about happening upon a dance performance while you are going to the library or walking down the street that is different than purchasing a ticket and going and sitting in a theater. And so we are interested in looking at putting in dance in unusual and unexpected places. And so many people who are mobility device users know that space, I should say, understand that spaces can be used in many untraditional ways. And we think that by seeing bodies moving in expressive and artistic ways in spaces that we often associate with being very pedestrian or certain codes of how we behave in public. And so to see a group of seated and standing dancers, mobility device users, moving in expressive ways can really change our perspective on our city and in our own bodies. And so that's something that we like to do in our work a lot. So I wanted to share another video of a project that we worked on in the past year during COVID. And so, of course, we have not been gathering in dance studios since the beginning of the pandemic. And like many other artists and art makers, we have been experimenting in ways that we can still feel connected and make work together while at a distance using Zoom. And so the piece that I will share with you is a dance film that was created collaboratively by all of the participants. And my colleague Janice, who is with us today, is of course one of them, and you will see her dancing in this film. It was edited by Gemma Crow, who is a dear colleague of All Bodies Dance Project and a collaborator. And the way that this film was generated or created was that all of the participants met weekly online to dance together, to explore ideas, and then they were given a task. So a task might be to play with light and shadow. And so over the week, all of the participants explored in their homes, dancing with light and shadow, and then took videos of themselves and submitted them. So by the end of the project, we had many different clips of all of the participants dancing in their home spaces with these same kind of tasks or prompts or explorations. And then Gemma's task was to take all of that and build it into a dance film that is called Near Far. And it is a bit of a time capsule. When I watch this, it captures a lot of fall 2020 and that feeling of that all of us have experienced of looking to feel connected to one another in community while staying physically apart. So I will share this film, and this time hopefully I will get our sound going as well. So this is Near Far. I wonder, Janice, if you wanted to say anything about that process, about Near Far, about your participation in that project.
Absolutely, yes. Do you want to spotlight me, Victory, and then I'll come up. So for me, the pandemic gave me a wonderful opportunity to really explore dance at home in my cozy little dance studio. And being invited to create videos to share with other people was really allowed me to grow. So basically we were given specific tasks to work on, and then we would come up with where in our homes or outside that we would like to dance. And we had lots of support in terms of, what does near and far look like? How do we play with shadows? And some filming techniques in terms of, don't film certain ways where the light might overshadow your image. I'm not saying this right. We were invited to just show as much of our bodies as we wanted to. So a lot of people just wanted to show their hands dancing or their shadows or their feet. And that made some really nice editing work where you could bring things together. But a lot of us were nervous about, well, how do I submit a film? How do I record myself, like using the technology and then submitting that to an editor? And we grew so much and we had so much support. And then to see the finished project, and we hired a musician to create an original score to go with it, was really neat and magical. And it just shows you how much beauty can happen with the right kind of support and the tools and learning skills. We had so much creativity and autonomy and agency over our own bodies as to what we wanted to do or show. And it just really helped us get through some of those early months of the pandemic in the winter, where it was just so isolating for many of us, and to create art and something really beautiful out of something that was quite hard. We could dance our emotions and put whatever we wanted in terms of our feelings into the video. And then to see what other people did with the same kind of score and prompts was really neat. And there was so much beauty. And then we would come together and rehearse a little bit and share work, and then go back and work on our own. And it was neat because there's so much we can do when we're given permission just to use our imaginations and be creative, but learning specific skills on how to do that and how to share our work. It's a long answer, but it was really wonderful. And I am so glad that so many people were willing to share their very personal, intimate movements and spaces with the world. That was great. Yeah, there's so much beauty in the diversity that we offer.
Great, Janice, thank you. I have one last sort of image I'd love to share before I pass it over to Janice, who will speak about the series of classes that she's offering on Friday afternoons. But I thought while you've seen my face quite a bit, I would love to just share some images from our work over the years while I speak, and I will just, can you see that? Yeah. So I'll just let the slideshow play as I speak. So these are images from the past 7 years of things that we have done. As we always say, images speak louder than words. But as Janice, sort of alluded to, one of the things that is really important in our approach to dancing is that people are the experts of their own body. And in making dances with people with disabilities, we're not dancing despite our disabilities. In fact, the choices that we make as artists, as movers, are because of the unique perspective that we all embody that is informed by those disabilities. And so those disabilities that people bring, or whatever labels, visible or invisible, to the practice, are the fuel for the work that we make. We're not teaching people to do to replicate anybody else's body. but to be themselves. And that's really where I, as a standing dancer, have learned so much from someone who moves through the world in a very different way than me, such as Janice, which has been a real gift. So we would like to invite you to join our work. And so our current programming, we just started last night, our first in-person class since the pandemic. It was a real joy to be in a room with other bodies again, fully masked, all vaccinated, at Trout Lake Community Center on Thursday nights. All of the information about that class can be found on our website, which is allbodiesdance.ca. And then we also have a youth project that throughout the entire pandemic, this beautiful group of 10 to 15 youth have been meeting online and then outdoors when it became safe to do so, and then are now back in the studio at Roundhouse Community Center. And so this is a group specifically for young people between roughly the ages of 15 to 25, although we recognize that age sometimes is relative. And that project is called Ready Dance. And so if you know of a young person in your world with or without a disability who might be interested in joining us, as I said, all of our programming is free. Information can be found on our website, or registration is through the Vancouver Park Board registration system. And then lastly, we are offering online programming through this beautiful partnership with ConnecTogether Society that my colleague Janice will speak about in a moment. And so we welcome anybody, literally anybody, to join us. And if dancing feels outside of your comfort zone or something that you can't imagine yourself doing, even better. We say often in our classes, in our work, that every movement is dance, no matter if it's this small or if it's a leap across the space. And every choice is a beautiful artistic choice. And so we welcome people who are nervous and who are scared and who have never thought of themselves as dancers to join our work, because that's really where the interesting stuff happens, is right on that edge of our comfort zones. So if you are interested at all in anything we do, you can find us on Facebook, All Bodies Dance, of course on Instagram, or our website, or of course you could find out more about us through ConnecTogether as well. So I thank you for listening to me talk about our work. It is a real honor to be able to do this work with such a beautiful community of collaborators, and we hope you'll join us. So I will pass it over to my colleague and collaborator, Janice, to speak more specifically about her Friday sessions.
Thanks, Naomi. Yes, well, you know, a lot of people are experiencing inclusive dance in a whole new different way because of the pandemic bringing Zoom to us. And I'm one of those people that early on found the silver lining of the pandemic, in that the world became more accessible to me because of Zoom. And I started connecting with people from all over the world over the internet. And that really expanded my understanding of what dance could be and how to use my space and my body as a way to express myself. And so All Bodies Dance Project started doing online classes, and I jumped on that bandwagon and said, oh, I would really love to go to absolutely everything that you offer because it's so interesting, and can I please teach, because I really do love teaching. So if you come to one of my classes once, I'm hoping that you will get addicted, because I'm really addicted to dance, and I'm very lucky because I have a lot of time every day to spend developing my dance practice. And there is nothing that I have found that makes me happier And, you know, as I was looking through those videos and the slides, I know almost everybody in the project because people leave and then they come back. Hundreds of people have gone through Our Bodies, and it's so powerful. Last night I went to the first in-person dance class that we've had since the pandemic started at Trout Lake Community Center, and there were people that I hadn't seen for years, and the hugs that happened, and you know, virtual hugs and contact. And one friend said, I've never danced with my scooter before because bodies change, you know. And then, you know, there were friends that were there that were sitting in chairs a lot and dancing in the chairs because now they're developing some body pain, or they're dancing on the floor because now they have a new way. And I just love that I know so much about pain and disability that I can say, well, this is an offering you can do if you're dancing on your floor. This is an offering you can do if you're dancing in your bed. This is what you can do if you're an upright dancer, because I actually, at the moment, am an ambulatory wheelchair user. So, oh, that was a little awkward, right? Well, we love to put awkwardness and weirdness into our dance too. And there can be a whole score on moving in awkward ways and what does it mean to lose your balance. And it's just so exciting because I didn't know that my unique gifts in this body could be so applicable to other people and make people feel so welcome and safe in expressing whatever their bodies can do. When I'm teaching on Zoom, I have my laptop plugged into my big screen TV. So I'm going to turn my screen around here so you can see, right? so I use Spotify for music, and then, you know, and I've learned so much about technology, and I've got my AirPods in my ears, and I can be dancing on my couch over here or zipping off the frame over here, and you can still hear me. I'm not wearing my AirPods right now, but I just love what I'm doing so much, and it's really exciting to see who comes to the classes. They're not recorded, so if you're not there, you miss what's happening. But what I would like to do with this series is come up with some kind of a showing where we can actually share our work, our practice, just, you know, to invite people to see what we're working on. So, for example, today's class that I just finished was a theme on cooking, and I invited people to talk about what happens when they're considering a meal that is a magnificent meal. Does it involve, you know, some stirring or some chopping or some shaking? Or we did some time traveling too, where people thought of a meal that they had, you know, and it involved oysters being shucked and opened and lemon squeezed on them and vodka being poured down our throats. And, you know, we always find ways to laugh and move together, but we're taking inspiration from those movement prompts and translating them into our own bodies. So for some people, squeezing a lemon might be really small and internal. And for some people, it might be, you know, a great big, huge squeeze. And I like to give a lot of different options about, you know, you can squeeze your eyelids and your face really, really tightly, and that shows the intent of squeezing. And, you know, and then we do some breakout rooms where we're connecting and people can share and witness what they're doing. So instead of seeing, you know, 12 people on the screen, they maybe see 2 or 3 people on the screen, and they're like, well, this is my meal prep, you know, and they're not talking, but it would be like, I'm stirring and I'm slicing and I'm shaking and I'm sizzling in my frying pan, and without the talking, but just moving. And then they know somebody's watching them and seeing them. And then we come back and, you know, maybe make some shapes together. Like, this is my shape when I'm sliced. No, I don't know. I just like to have fun. Every class is different. Last week's class was an amusement park experience where we created our own ride, and we had to think about, you know, do we want glitter thrown all over our ride? Is it a ride that goes up and down, or is it a spinning ride, or is it a water ride, and do we get splashed? And just like taking those ideas and putting those into our movement and just having fun, and always having a chance to check in and do introductions, and then think about what shapes do our bodies want to make, and then how do we connect with each other, and have some fun. And everyone always says that it changes their mood. Some people come into the class feeling very isolated and lonely and worried about pain. And I know what all of that's like. And then through the offering, sometimes that shifts quite a lot, or sometimes it just shifts a little bit. But for me, movement is medicine. And so that I'm just so passionate about doing everything I can to make dance more accessible for as many people in the world as possible. Sometimes I've been on the bus using my scooter, and I say to people, I'm going to dance class, and they just look at me and say, how do you dance? And then I'm like, oh, well, let me show you, and I just talk about All Bodies Dance Project all the time. And because it's really changed my life, and you get out of life what you put into it. So, it's good to be in a safe place where you can just feel that you can explore and grow, and it's okay to be awkward and to feel uncomfortable, and you put that into your body and make a dance out of that. Anyway, that's a long answer.
Thanks, Janice. As you can tell, Janice is very energized. And this is one of the beautiful things about joining our work, is that we get to share each other's energy and absorb some of that. So that's why I love dancing with Janice, because certainly is contagious in her enthusiasm. So yeah, so we wanted to open up to see if there were any questions that we could answer before we finish our presentation today. But we hope we've left you with a bit more enthusiasm for dancing, and if dancing is something you hadn't considered, that perhaps you think about your body and the way you move in a different way for the rest of your day. Well, if there aren't any questions, I would just like to thank the Disability Foundation and ConnecTogether for the invitation to speak about our work today. And again, I invite you or your friends or neighbors or enemies to come and join us and dance with us. And we look forward to moving with you in the future. And thanks, Janice.
Thank you for presenting.
That was great. Thank you so much. Yeah, it was fun.